Hey guys, Big Dan Bates here with just the right amount of stubble. Today I want to talk to you how I saved our garden that we worked so hard on getting ready after the wildfire smoke basically halfway killed and stunted everything in my garden. And I'm not the only one. I'm hearing a lot from other community members who had the same issues. So stay tuned to find out how we fixed it. First things first, say hello to my new little friend. We'll be doing more on that later. So, we had that, I don't know, week almost of the bright orange, yellowy wildfire smoke that smelled oddly like burning plastic and electricity. As someone who has a lot of campfires, I can tell you, wood doesn't smell like that, but I digress. And me and a lot of other people in the gardening community had a lot of issues with our plants being stunted, dying, ceasing production. So I'll show you where we are now, and I want to talk about kind of what we did and how we got back from where we were. So one of my best examples is this fig tree here. So this fig tree, we bought it, I call it my epic fig. We bought this and it was already this tall. It had a couple of figs already kind of growing on it. And we planted it and it sort of was short to move. It didn't really do a whole lot. If I can look around here, I know there's a fig hiding right back in there. I don't know if you can see him or not. But he had 2 figs on it. Never really grew from the time we planted them. And at that point, we had a few environmental issues around here. And when that wildfire stuff hit, that smoke hit, that thing, the one fig dropped off. It never moved, never produced another leaf. We were full of zucchini plants. This entire bed here was all zucchini plants. That's my last one. And they haven't produced a zucchini since the smoke. We had the same thing around the garden. A lot of my tomatoes got real weak looking. In the back here, I had Black Beauty zucchinis growing back here. The ones in the raised bed were Ford hooks. And you can actually see that one there is dead. And I had to pull the other ones out. They had died. The cucumber or the zucchinis that were on them had turned like yellow and got all disformed. So after the fires, we had like, I want to say 11 days of straight downpours. So the plants that survived the smoke and the like 350 air index days and all that, those who were strong enough to get through that started turning yellow and kind of limping over from the extraordinary amount of rain we were getting. Well, the rain stopped, and then we went right into these 95-degree days with heat index felt like 108, just brutal, beating down. So the tomatoes took a real bad hit on that. I'll walk you back over here and show you my tomatoes real quick. We're walking past it. I'll show you this. This was one of our little barrels for carrots. Not only did they get stunted, 90% of it died off. We have that one little patch there. And now that's another example of where the solution really picked up, because both those carrots, and while we're talking about carrots, I'll walk you back over here, and these carrots, ever since I treated them, have really started to take off. They were stunted for ages. Like I said, we lost a bunch of the ones in that back bin, which are the fingerlings. The ones that are bushy over here are the half danvers. But look how sad my tomato plants are. I mean, these are the Super Sweet 100s. They're producing, but they're just sad. The San Marzano, again, now, since I treated everything, they are producing. I'm getting production, but real small production out of my brandywines here. And it's just not good. Like, everything's not good. My peppers were stunted for the longest time. Again, once I did this treatment, they really perked up. I'm starting to get actual peppers on my pepper plants now. And that one there is actually starting to turn red. They're Italian long reds, and then these are red bell. Speaking of peppers, I go on these tangents. We were one of millions of victims of the great pepper seed swindle. Somehow, one of the country's largest seed producers had some terrible mix-up. And if you bought jalapenos, especially the mild, the tam variety jalapenos, and you plant them and they came up and they started growing peppers and they looked a little funny, as mine did, turned out they were banana peppers. Somehow in a mass production situation, banana pepper seeds were put in place of jalapeno pepper seeds, and this affected Burpee, Ferry Morse, and several other brands out there that this national company supplies seeds for. And there's a few, higher profile YouTube people, like Roots and Refuge, for instance, who've talked about it, that they too were hit by this. And even if you bought starts, because the greenhouses that start starts buy seeds from this company and starts, it's insane. But on to the point. So to get back on point, we were having a ton of issues, and though I fertilized upon planting and fertilized with like the garden tone and time appropriate, intervals, these plants got so damaged from the air quality, from the rain, from the heat, they needed help quick. Now where you're serving today is only that way. It was all basically dead because of this treatment. So my magic sources, and most of you probably already know about this, is the Alaska fish emulsion. And this is what I used. I went out to my local big box store. In this case, I believe it was Home Depot. May have been Lowe's, I'm not certain. My brain's been kind of off recently. I'm gonna come over here in this little shade area because I'm sure this camera's blowing out because I didn't put the ND filter on it. So, this Alaskan fish emulsion, or fish fertilizer, it's actually a fish emulsion. It's made by the company Alaska. You can get it in quarts, or in this case I bought the gallon. And essentially what it does is it takes, if you open it up, if you're a fisherman at all, and you've ever been down to the dock where people clean their fish or cut their bait, that's basically what it smells like. It's not terrible. I don't mind the smell. And you only smell it for the first day you put it out in the garden. As you walk past the garden, you'll kind of get whiffs like you're at the dock. I don't mind it personally. It dissipates pretty quickly after, say, a day. So you take 2 tablespoons of this stuff, mix it with a gallon of water. You want to make sure you're using decent water. We have a whole house filtration system going on here. And so you go out and you hand water. You give a good watering with this fish emulsion. Now the fish emulsion is just that. It's basically purified fish. Fish heads, fish guts, whatever they produce at the plant, all the scraps get turned into this fish emulsion. It's very similar to some of the chum, if you ever have been out on a deep sea boat. Some of the frozen blocks of chum, they use this fish emulsion because it's just purified fish as the base for that chum because it spreads nice and easy. 2 tablespoons of this to a gallon of decent water. You want to make sure you're not feeding your plants heavy chlorine or things like that. And you just kind of do a heavy watering with it. Now you'll go through, I have a watering can, it's about a gallon. You'll go through, depending on the size of your garden, a good bit of it. If you have a massive garden, obviously you want to make this in some sort of bulk and then apply it through some sort of like a watering system. You can put a pump in a 5-gallon bucket and pump that through your irrigation system if you have a tap in, things like that. I just find it easy enough to do it with a watering can. And it takes a little bit to get everything and make sure you're giving everything a good drink with it. But I find that time of hand watering my garden and doing things like that, it's all very meditative. I find prayerful moments in that. So go around and do your watering with it, and that makes those nutrients and that fertilizer instantly available. Those plants are drinking those nutrients immediately, and because it's organic and it's biological, it will not burn your plant, it will not harm your plant. You can't over fertilize with it. One thing I want to show you real quick, when I did my first 90-second garden tour, I was showing these mammoth sunflowers that weren't so mammoth. Well, look at them now. This one only looks as short as it is because the giant sunflower that's on it has it all drooped over. But when that sunflower, before it became into full bloom, that thing was standing a good 12.5 feet, 13 feet maybe. So they're living up to their name of mammoth sunflowers. So yeah, Alaska fish fertilizer, I think it's 511. This has been a lifesaver for this garden. It has single-handedly brought everything back to life, including my wife's flowers. Some of them were really looking bad. I put some of that in there. And I've been doing this, I actually have to do it today. Today is August 1st. And I was due to do it today. It'll probably happen tomorrow morning. It's getting a little late in the day to water. I like to water too late in the afternoon and have the thing sit wet all night. Luckily, we finally called a break. We are in the 80s now after being several weeks of high 90s. So for the next week, it's supposed to be low. So I'm gonna come out in the morning and hand water, and then I'm gonna do the fish fertilizer behind it. You wanna do it after you water or later in the day, because you don't wanna water and wash it through the dirt. A lot of my raised beds, when I'm watering, by the time I'm done watering that bed, it's pouring through the bottom. So you definitely don't wanna then wash out the fertilizer you just paid good money for to put in there. I also would not recommend doing it if you know it's gonna be raining later that day. But we're clear for a few days here till Friday. I think it's Tuesday. So I'll be doing the fish fertilizer probably tomorrow. I'll water early and then I'll do it more like lunchtime. But it has really made a difference. I mean, my roses were all but dead. There were no blooms left on them. And I did the fish fertilizer, and all of a sudden, they're small, but I'm all of a sudden loaded with little roses around here. This is my vining hyacinth. This thing was an accident, and every year it comes back and just engulfs this entire fence. They're pretty when they grow, and they have a nice fragrance to them. It smells like the hyacinth, like the Easter flower, but this is like some vining variety. Yeah, but in danger of repeating myself for the 17th time, that fish fertilizer is really what turned this around. My tomatoes started producing. My zucchini made a comeback, although I think they were too far gone. My peppers shot up and started producing. And to bring us full circle to where we started, the epic fig. This fig tree, from the day I planted it until I started the fish fertilizer, was fully dormant. It was green and it was alive, was producing no further figs. The figs were not ripening. There was no plant growth whatsoever. I fertilized this the first time with the fig stuff. And I don't know how well you can see with this, but all of that bright green, that's all new growth. All those bright lean stems, that is all new growth. And there's little, you really can't get in here because I can't see the screen well enough, but there is a new fig growing down in the crutch of that leaf and one growing back in here. I'm not sure if I have one over on this one or not. There may be one growing in that cluster. But all this here and all that there is all brand new growth since I started the fish fertilizer. So that's proof in the pudding right there. The stuff works great. Jess over at Roots and Refuge actually recommended it if your strawberries are struggling, which mine were struggling, but they started to die in the heat. I think I missed the opportunity to save them with the fish fertilizer. These are our pumpkins. I just planted them from seed maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And they're already that big because as soon as they sprouted, I started hitting them with the fish fertilizer. So, again, it's Alaska brand fish fertilizer. You may see it's called fish emulsion. And it comes in the quart or the gallon. The gallon's more expensive, but the bigger garden you have, you're going to go through it. The quart lasted me with just what we have here and a couple of plants out front and the 2 Jonathan apple trees. I think the quart lasted me 2, maybe 3 applications. So because I'm going to be doing this like once a week now to try to save what we have left here, I'm trying to get the sun golds to produce more. We love the sun golds, so we learned this year. So we'll be planting them next year for sure. This year was kind of a let's feel out what we like better, and then next year focus on those plants. So Sun Gold has won the cherry tomato face-off for us. So next year it'll all be Sun Golds, and I'll be sticking with my brandy wines for my beefsteaks. But the Alaska fish fertilizer, 511. Can't burn your plants, can't hurt your plants, you can't over-fertilize with it. It's all organic, natural ingredients. When I say organic, I mean it's all biological. It's fish. There's no chemicals in there. They don't add harsh things to it. You can literally dump this right over the leaves of your plant if you wanted to. I don't know why you would do that, and it's not going to harm your plant whatsoever. It's a great product. I have no affiliation, certainly. If they want to sponsor me, I'm here. But Alaska Fish Fertilizer for the 15th time, because I repeat myself all the time. All right, guys, have a great day. Oh, and as far as my little friend up on the deck there, that is a Pit Boss pellet smoker. I'm going to be dabbling with some smoking thanks to the influence and example of my very, very best friend in the world, Bill Shords. I've kind of been after him to start a whole cooking channel because he's doing a lot of cooking on the pit, on the grill, does well as welding. He's going to be building his own barbecue pit. I think he's a little intimidated to make videos. He actually asked for my help, and I basically told him it can be a production, and I don't know that it's something I currently have the ability to help out with. And I certainly am not going to start making a whole bunch of smoking videos. But I probably will do a review on that. This particular one is the Pit Boss Copperhead Onyx Edition, which is one you basically get at Walmart. It's the Series 4. I started with the little electric one, the Series 3, and it was a disaster. I had to take it back. I got this one. This one has been a dream. I've smoked a couple of chuck roasts. I've smoked some chicken in it. Today we're going to do a salmon and see how it goes. So I'll probably do a review once I've used it a little while to have enough of use that I can actually give an appropriate review of it, as well as talk about some of the issues I had with Pit Boss and their customer service. And I may demonstrate a couple of things past that, just about, oh, well, I did a chuck roast, look at the smoke ring, look at the color, you know, but I'm not going to be doing a whole series on how to smoke different things because I'm certainly not the expert. I'll leave that to my buddy Bill, and whenever he decides to start his channel, because he is a backyard pit master. I mean, the guy is pretty incredible. But anyway, folks, thanks for joining us. If you've lasted this long, do me a favor and hit that like button. We try to put out quality content that's informative, although, you know, we tend to babble sometimes. If you're already a subscriber, we thank you. If not, please consider subscribing. We try to put out useful information on different topics. Right now we're doing the gardening series and things of that nature. And stay tuned for some smoker content as well. You guys have a great day. See ya.